We are the Lab Doctors. I'm Amanda.
I'm Dorothy.
And I'm Zhao Yong.
We are biomedical researchers who realized we still have a lot to learn about science.
So why not join us on this quest?
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lab Doctors podcast. So today we'll be talking about obesogens. So what do you think are obesogens? So Obesogens.
Oh, when I read the Google Doc, I saw obesogens. So I didn't want to look at it properly because I wanted to be surprised.
Oh, okay.
I accidentally saw it. I thought it was obesity genes. But now you say gens, I'm like, I don't know what it is.
Okay, so another lesson in etymology because I'm a nerd. But I think it will help people. So obesogen is actually derived from the word obesogenic. So when you break it down, it's obese and the suffix is genic, which refers to producing or generating something like genesis, you know? So for example, carcinogenic is broken down into carcinoma or cancer and genic. So it's things that tend to cause cancer. So obesogenic means tending to cause obesity.
Okay.
So the TLDR is that obesogens are chemicals that could influence or promote obesity in humans or animals. So I actually stumbled across this interesting podcast episode on Science Weekly by The Guardian entitled Is Pollution Making Us Fat?
What?
I'll link it in the episode description if you are curious, where they give a concise and layman explanation of obesogens. But since we are the lab doctors, our episode will be a bit more sciencey. Okay, so before we move on, what is the difference between overweight and obese?
Obese is like severely overweight.
Yeah, that's right. Technically, this is all down to BMI or body mass index. So a BMI of 18.5 to 24.9 is considered healthy. Above 25 is overweight and above 30 is considered obese. There are some disputes on using BMI as a gauge, but we won't get into that today. Okay, so next question. Do you know what are the obesity rates globally?
Like percentage prevalence.
Yes.
Above 30. Wow, that's quite high.
Obese. So, yeah.
I want to say like 7,
Okay. How about overweight?
Overweight's more.
20. Because overweight will include obese.
Overweight,
Right?
I think
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah, so overweight is anyone over 25. I mean,
25.
over a BMI of 25, not anyone over the age of 25. And
I
then
think obesity.
30-ish. I would say
Percent?
30-ish for
overweight.
obesity.
For
Overweight.
Overweight? Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with your ratios. I don't know, your percentages.
7 and 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like 10, then 30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, around there.
Okay, so last year, the WHO reported that 39% of adults were overweight, of
close
which 13% were obese.
Oh!
Not too bad.
So this 39% rate has actually tripled since 2016, when about 13% of the world's adult population were overweight. So the last tripling was actually from 1975. So from 1975 to 2016, it tripled. And then in the past 8 years, it tripled again.
Wow.
And another worrying thing is that 39 million children below the age of 5 are actually considered overweight or obese. So that's actually quite...
Wait, 39 million is like what percentage of the children's
I couldn't find it, but just raw numbers sounds like a lot for children
sure.
under 5.
Wait, so do the original obesity percentages include children or is it just adult?
Adults.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you know what the percentage of population of overweight or obese people are locally?
Like Singapore?
Singapore, I think, is lower.
Yeah, I think it's probably lower.
So I couldn't find
Oh, you couldn't find.
stats on overweight, but I could find stats on obese.
Okay, let's
So-
guess the obesity. I would
And
think.
then I have the Malaysian overweight and obese, but I can't find the obese. So we have the best of both worlds.
So overweight. We
No,
have
Singapore,
obese and
Singapore
Yeah.
obese. Singapore obese.
The
I would
global
say-
rate is
I would
13%.
say 3
Oh.
or 4.
I was gonna go like 8. 5 or 8. 5 to 8.
I don't see that many overweight people, like severely overweight.
10.5% were obese.
In Singapore?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And in Malaysia, 54.2% of Malaysian adults were overweight or obese.
Oh my god, I thought you were gonna say like
not
54
obese.
were obese. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So actually, obesity used to be thought of as a high income country
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
But actually more and more now, it's also a low to middle income country problem because of the quality of food that we have. Traditionally, weight gain was primarily blamed on a high calorie diet and a sedentary lifestyle.
Yes.
However, obesity rates have been climbing despite reports of consistent or even increased exercise in some countries. Another thing about the calorie in and calorie out mindset is that not all calories are equal, where eating processed, high sugar foods is not the same as eating healthy foods, despite the total calorie count being equal.
Yeah.
So in an effort to better study obesity and weight gain, scientists are looking at other environmental factors that may contribute to this, and one of these factors is obesogens. Okay, so obesogens actually belong under a larger umbrella of chemicals known as endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs for short. Okay, so from the name you can guess that this refers to chemicals or mixtures that disrupt endocrine function and interfere with the body's endogenous hormones. So they are structured like and act similarly to natural hormones and disrupt homeostasis by binding to the hormone receptors. So instead of the hormones in your body that are naturally occurring binding to these receptors, these chemicals that are consumed externally will bind to it and disrupt the homeostasis. So obesogens specifically are EDCs that affect obesity-related metabolic conditions that drive metabolic syndrome. So these include insulin resistance, high blood pressure, dyslipidemia, and hyperglycemia. So obesogens are anything that contributes to any of these conditions. Okay, so let's move on to how obesogens promote obesity. Can you propose any?
Leptin and ghrelin.
Yeah.
So modifying hormonal control of appetite and fullness, that's one of them.
Insulin.
Okay,
So probably liver and pancreas is affected. Is it?
Okay, so maybe I'll just go through all of them. So on top of like modifying hormonal control, like so leptin and ghrelin, it increases the number of fat cells, increases the storage of fat in existing fat cells. So we have more fat cells, we have more fat in the fat cells.
Right.
And altering the rate of fat cell production versus destruction.
Okay.
So you know the cells are constantly being produced and destroyed. So it alters the rate of that. It shifts energy balance to favor caloric storage, thus changing basal metabolic rate.
Right.
Okay, and then it also has been shown to alter gut microbiome to promote food storage. Previous studies have even reported the presence of EDCs in the placenta, amniotic fluid, and umbilical cord blood, suggesting that exposure to obesogens starts even before you were born. And the scary thing is, it also means that EDC effects are intergenerational.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so a study showed that higher exposure to DDT, this chemical that is found in pesticide that is actually now banned, was actually associated with higher likelihood of the grandchildren being obese. But this is an association, so further research needs to be done. Okay, so there are actually loads of obesogens, and I linked a Frontier article that is pretty comprehensive. So it lists all the known chemicals or obesogens, or at least the famous ones, the research that has been published, and the proposed mechanism by which it promotes obesity. So I won't go into all today, but I chose two that I recognize. But do you want to guess, or do you have any guesses of what these obesogens might be? Actually, both of it is found in plastics.
This is the first time I'm hearing obesogens.
Yeah. Polyethylene.
I don't know if you've seen like a lot of
PPE,
bottles.
that's all I know.
A lot of bottles have the...
BPA.
Yes!
Oh,
okay, so
BPA.
one of the most common ones is actually BPA.
Or BPA.
Yeah, BPA.
So BPA, or bisphenol A, is a synthetic compound used to make polycarbonate plastic and epoxy resins that line food and beverage cans. Thus, it's found in numerous food and beverage containers. So in vitro and in vivo studies, meaning not in human, showed that BPA induces insulin resistance, inflammation, oxidative stress, and they promote the formation of fat cells. Okay, so here's the science. The proposed mechanism is that it acts as an estrogen receptor agonist and an androgen receptor antagonist. So it has been shown to shift mesenchymal stem cell commitment and differentiation towards adipogenesis. Okay, so this in layman's term is just adipocyte is fat cells, genesis is producing. So basically it shifts the stem cells to form fat cells.
And that's like not really reversible, right?
Nope.
As in it's not reversible.
Yeah,
right?
it's not reversible. Yeah, because like once you commit the stem cell fate to whatever it's going to be, you can't really reverse that. So the only thing is the cells are being produced and destroyed. So you would hope that your body can destroy it. But your body can destroy it at a certain rate. And if there's too much production, then you'll have a lot of fat.
Wait, what do you mean by destroy? Use it, right? Not really like explode it.
Oh, yeah. Like use it.
Yeah.
Or convert it to beige or brown fat, which is the healthier fat, which we'll get into. Okay, so another two things to note is BPA may cause harm at high levels. chemicals. So the FDA actually considers BPA safe given that our exposure to it is minimal. But regardless, it is still linked to increased prevalence of obesity, diabetes, and high blood pressure. So harm here meaning like short-term harm after exposure to BPA. So the FDA still considers it safe.
What do you mean harm I can actually see? Like short term?
I guess it's like if you eat this and you die immediately, like a poison, like cyanide or something.
Or something that like has an effect that is more direct.
Right. We also have different classes of carcinogens as well, like potentially carcinogenic, all that. Yeah.
Okay, so the second thing to note about BPA is you've probably seen BPA-free labels.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you think, oh, that's great, right? But these products likely contain BPA analog substitutes, which is BPS and BPF, which was also found to induce adipogenic differentiation in human stem cells and mice. So BPA-free might not be all that great.
Is that why like only adults like more likely become, like like when you hit a certain age then your metabolism will go down? Maybe it's not because your metabolism will go down, it's just you've been accumulating all these things in your life.
So that's one of the theories, that it's not just about like your physiology, it's also
What you
exposure
eat
to
and
chemicals.
stuff.
Okay, so the second one, which I feel like maybe you won't get. So it's phthalate, PHTHALATE.
Yeah, phthalates.
Phthalates, yeah. Okay, so these are man-made chemicals to make plastics more durable and flexible. So it's found in toys, medical devices, food packaging, and personal care items. So like soap bottles and like shampoo bottles and things like that. So research has also shown that they can cause insulin resistance and increase in white adipose tissue, which if you remember from cryotherapy, so we want more brown and beige adipose tissue because that's the fat-burning fat tissue.
Okay.
So this brown and beige adipose tissue can be induced by cold temperatures and physical activity and a lot of other things, but these are like the two things that are accessible. So this is a PSA to keep exercising. So human studies have actually linked phthalate to an increased risk of obesity and type 2 diabetes. Okay, so other obesogens include atrazine, which is a herbicide, organotins, which are PVC stabilizers, and perfluorooctanoic acid, or PFOA, which is actually a surfactant used in waterproof clothing, non-stick cookware, and microwavable food items. So obesogens are also metals such as cadmium and artificial sweeteners.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was thinking about stevia, but stevia is naturally occurring. So artificial sweeteners are those that like...
Coke Zero. Same Coke taste, 0 calories.
But Coke Zero is stevia, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
No, isn't it A-sulfate? Potassium.
Well.
Or aspartame. One of those.
Okay, so before I finish, let's talk about microplastics. So have you ever seen that WWF poster saying it took you approximately 1 week to eat this credit card?
Something like that.
Yeah, so it's like the chopstick and it's holding a credit card, like dipping it into soy sauce. So this is actually due to tiny bits of plastic in our food, water, and air. Microplastics are actually a common environmental pollutant found in coastal oceans and terrestrial environments. So it can be found in things like salt, fish, honey, and sugar, and in some countries, even in the water. So these microplastics contain obesogens like BPA and phthalates. So it may be also contributing to increased obesity.
This episode just makes me feel like,
There's nothing I can do.
yeah, like whatever lah, just die, yeah.
So it seems pretty dire, right? But honestly, more research needs to be done, and we can't really say for certain the effects of obesogens on human health. But here are some things that you can do to reduce your exposure according to Healthline.
Don't drink water.
Also, the water in Singapore, as much as I can find, is relatively clean of these microplastics. Yeah. So it's pretty bad in some countries where water is heavily contaminated with plastics. Okay, back to the list. So you can opt for organic foods such as fruits, vegetables, corn, wheat, rice when possible.
But don't they come in like packaging also that has like all these plastic?
But I guess the point is like they are not grown with these synthetic pesticides.
So like I didn't mention, but a lot of them are actually pesticides and herbicides.
Okay.
Yeah. So minimizing the use of EDC containing cosmetics and personal care products by choosing organic options. Preferring stainless steel, aluminium, or glass containers over plastic ones for food and beverages. Avoid heating foods in plastic containers.
Damn.
Then what? Heat food in metal?
Yeah, in
Can the
glass.
microwave? Oh.
Literally tell me There's microglass in my food.
And if you're using plastic containers, opt for ones featuring the BPA-free and phthalate-free labels.
But is that what they tell you?
Yes. So a lot of the studies have been done on BPA, but not its analogs like BPS and BPF.
Yeah.
But that's what we can do for now. And as always, eating a well-balanced diet, exercising, getting enough high-quality sleep, and managing stress remains the most important factors when it comes to your health.
I just feel like Amanda was out to make me depressed and she succeeded.
I'm so sorry, but okay, honestly, according to the Science Weekly podcast episode, the interviewer asked like, what do scientists want? And apparently all they want is to create awareness about this.
Yeah, but I guess when we talk about obesity, we are actually more concerned about health rather
Yes, it is about health because...
We endeavor to exercise once a week.
Well, you should be exercising 4 to 5 times a week.
Well, at
30
least 30
minutes,
minutes.
moderate exercise.
We have time.
Live fast, die young. Hashtag TLDR podcast.
Please.
Great. And as usual, follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel. A like and a comment helps us out.
You can also follow us on our social media, Instagram, Twitter or Facebook, and feel free to DM us any questions.
Alternatively, you can email us at thelabdoctors@gmail.com. We'll post all the links in the episode description, so check them out. Thank you.
Live fast, die young.